Hi, this is the Daf Shevui video for Ketubot Daf Lammed Aleph, page 31 of Masechet Ketubot. This page mostly has to deal with the laws of Shabbat, because again, the larger topic of most of this chapter is the principle that is called in Aramaic Kimle B'derabamine, give him the worst of two punishments. So over here we're dealing with cases where somebody transgresses a financial crime on Shabbat and at the same time is liable for transgressing Shabbat. And so therefore for Shabbat he would get, theoretically, again the rabbis didn't carry this out, but at least theoretically he's deserving of the death penalty. And of course for the financial crime he has to pay a financial penalty. This page is quite confusing. A lot of this chapter is not easy. So I thought in this video, for those of you who watch it, I would just go over some of the cases here and try to explain, at least on the video, to augment some of my commentaries in writing. So the first case that comes up harkens back to a case we saw on Lammed as well, on page 30 as well. This is the case of somebody who gonev chalbo shel chavero va'achlo. So he steals forbidden fat from somebody else and he eats it, in which case he's chayav because he's obligated. First he stole something, the act of stealing was taking it, and then he ate it, so therefore he incurs both penalties because we can separate it into two acts. This leads into the discussion of somebody who throws an arrow on Shabbat, and the arrow travels the distance of 4 amot, 4 cubits, which is the distance necessary to make one liable for transgressing Shabbat. And in between, I know this sounds very theoretical, he tears some silk, he throws the arrow through the silk, thereby having to pay back for the silk, where Rabbi Avin says he's patur, he's exempt, because it was considered one act. So the simple explanation, I think I like the second explanation better, is that throwing an arrow is one act, even though it has to be uprooted from where it is in the beginning of its movement and land somewhere else. It's really one continuous act, whereas stealing something is first picking it up, in which case I'm obligated for stealing it, and then eating it, in which case I'm obligated for eating the forbidden food. So those are the first two cases. Again, I'm not going over all of the Gemara over here. That I think you need to do in the written work. I wanted to go over some of the cases that we see over here. The next case comes a little bit later and is a contrast to a kushia, difficulty on the case of throwing the arrow. And that's somebody who steals a purse of some sort on Shabbat. He's obligated to pay for the purse because the first thing that he did was pick it up and thereby take possession of it, and then bring it out into the other domain, in which case he is obligated for for transgressing the laws of Shabbat. And we can see that this is virtually the same as the one who stole the forbidden fat. When a thief picks up something, he becomes obligated for it, and then we can separate that from his next movement, which is to take it out into the public domain, which would make him liable for transgressing the laws of Shabbat. And to show this, that very same Braita says that if he's dragging it out into the public domain, and then he picks it up only when it's already in the public domain, then he acquires the object, the thief acquires the object, at the very same time where he is transgressing Shabbat, as soon as he removes it from the person from whom he stole domain. That case, he has done two things with one motion, bringing it out, right? And therefore, he is obligated only for the worst punishment, for death. Okay, that's the second case. And we can see here that I think that the Tanaitic material and the early material makes a certain amount of sense on its own, but the Talmud has these abstract definitions such as picking it up is necessary to taking it out, picking it up is necessary to put it back down, that make the whole matter a little bit more complicated. So I think, at least to clear things in your head, at least to keep that distinction between what can be separated into two activities and what is essentially one activity, will help you as you go through this material. Good luck.